Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bells Must Ring podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Rice, here with my usual co host, Arnav Sarkar. Rutgers has continued their work in the transfer portal, mostly picking up some offensive depth additions recently since our last podcast. If you want further breakdown on the recruits that they grabbed before, be sure to check out our previous podcast. But it seems, like I said, they have done a lot of their work recently, adding offensive line depth in particular. Um, First of all, they grabbed Eastern Michigan offensive lineman Everett Small. He stands at 6'4", 302 pounds. He was recruited by several ACC and Big 12 schools in the portal. He has 1 year of eligibility left. He did play, he started last season at center for the Eastern Michigan Eagles, but was bumped over to tackle, I would assume because of injuries, but nothing has been confirmed. Yeah, so he was bumped over to tackle, and he'll be looking to kind of keep the same position at Rutgers. Um, I don't want to say I was surprised by this addition, but I was a little bit like, I don't know if offensive tackle is the position of need that we need the most. I mean, we have um, we have Tyler Needham, we have Mashoud Giwa, we have Ryder Langsdale, we
Right.
have Dante Chin, we have all of these guys that played tackle and earned earned the starting job on a Big Ten offensive line for a tackle position. So I just wasn't so sure that adding another tackle would be our biggest concern. But depth never hurts. Um, and I guess it's just nice to have more bodies in the room, especially with how many injuries they suffered last year.
Yeah. I mean, I think you said it. I mean, yeah, obviously a tackle, getting Dante Chin back, Ryder Langsdale, both of which I think were expected. I think Langsdale was expected to start. He got injured. Chin ended up taking over the role. Tyler Needham's returning. He played a lot of left tackle this past season. So I mean, yeah, and then I think he also moved over to right as well. So I mean, it seems like more of a reserve piece, but you can never have enough offensive linemen. I think we found out that last year, and still having Mashoud Giwa as well, who ended up stepping into that starting role. But I mean, it feels like we have like three or four different tackles who can start. But I mean, if like I said, there's never enough depth that you can have at the position. I mean, Everett Small, coming in from Michigan State, had several other Power Four offers. I mean, recruiting over this past cycle. Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to be a rotational piece, but he has good size and everything. And I think it's a solid pickup. It's a little bit surprising, like you said, because I don't think it was like a huge necessity, but I think it's something that could definitely benefit. Can benefit the Scarlet Knights in the long run.
The thing is that I am not so particularly thrilled about this is that we know we have the depth. We know we have all those guys in reserve. I understand that there was a lot of injuries last year, but we also have a lot of like younger talents in the program at offensive line. So my question is, wouldn't that money have been better spent somewhere else? And I'm not trying to knock on him as a player. Personally, I haven't seen much from him. There's not that much out there about the Eastern Michigan Eagles,
Yeah.
but not trying to knock him as a player. It's just I just don't get it. If we're trying to play Moneyball, I don't think this is the position that was a desperate need. I could be wrong, but you know, if we're trying to play the Moneyball for Moneyball's sake, maybe it was better spent on some defensive help.
Yeah, I think I agree.
All right, so kind of moving on to our second offensive lineman that we grabbed in the transfer portal. Um, Interior offensive lineman Isaiah Cook from Delaware State has also committed to Rutgers. He weighs in at 6'3", 300 pounds. Has played and has experience up and down the offensive line. He spent time at center, guard, offensive tackle, like any position on the line, he's played it. Um, According to his own quote, I believe he gave to 247. He's coming in here to compete with Hank Zelinskis for the starting center job. So obviously, this makes this addition a little bit different than the small addition because he's coming in to compete for something, even though he's probably not going to win it because he's from Delaware State. Like it's
Right. Yeah.
we know
Big.
what they we know what they are. Let's not pretend ourselves here. But he's probably not going to win the starting job. But and that on that same argument, he's brought in to compete. He's not being brought in for no reason, and he has experience up and down the offensive line. So he might be serviceable, maybe not serviceable, but he might be below average depth at any position you might require. So that's why I'm kind of a little bit more on the side of this edition than the last one. I mean, I could be, just nitpicking a little bit here, but anyway, just to break down what he has a little bit. He has earned several All MEAC MEAC honors while at Delaware State. I had to spell it out so people didn't think I was
Mm.
saying MAC honors, but
Right. Right.
he earned several MEAC honors at Delaware State. Um, I think it was literally every year that, except for the year he was injured and the year that he took a freshman redshirt, that he earned all MEAC honors. So he
Right.
definitely has the brass to justify a move up in competition. And yeah, he's able to play because he took a medical redshirt in 2024. He's originally part of the 2021 class. Yeah, so making the jump up to Big Ten competition. I do like the fact that he's not coming in with the guarantee that he's going to start. I do like the fact that he's coming in to serve as a foil towards somebody else that has played Power Four football before Hank Zelinskis. We'll see how everything plays out, but his versatility, his experience up and down the offensive line makes me a little bit more positive about this edition rather than the last one.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. I mean, like, he definitely has experience up and down the offensive line. Very versatile. Again, good size, 6'3", 300. Maybe slightly smaller, but still pretty good size. Yeah, I mean, starting center job. He played a lot of center. He earned, like you said, all MEAC honors, like their team a couple years at Dell State. So yeah, I mean, he started 9 games at center, one at right guard in 23. Last year he medically redshirted, but I saw that he was pretty excited to come to Rutgers. I think his parents went there. And it's Big Ten football. He mentioned all of that, going, prospects of going to the NFL, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, in terms of, I mean, he seems pretty excited, and he definitely very versatile as a lineman. He could play, all the different positions. But he's mainly going to be competing for the center position against Hank Zelinskis, who's obviously, Gus Zelinskis' brother, a younger brother. Gus Zelinskis held down that starting role pretty well. I think he was on the Remington Trophy watch list. He's a very, very solid center. So obviously, replacement there. Cook is definitely going to be the underdog, but I mean, yeah. I mean, I think given that he can play a bunch of different positions, he has all MEAC honors. I think it's definitely a good depth piece. For the offensive line for sure.
Yeah, definitely love to add all that depth to the offensive line. I mean, any help is good help.
Right.
Um, now I do kind of with the point that Small also played center at Eastern Michigan. I don't think we're going to be lacking in center depth anytime
Yeah.
soon, though, because we're going to most likely have Hank. We're going to have Isaiah Cook. We're going to have um, Everett Small. I do know that we did lose another center. It's blanking me on the name to graduation this year. But yeah, we're not going to have a problem at center anytime soon. Definitely.
Yeah.
Um, did you want to say anything about those two transfers in before we move on to the other two?
Oh, I mean, I think that. I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, they're both, good depth pieces. I think, like you said, we have enough tackles where, like, between Needham and Chin and Langston, where Small is probably going to be more for reserve. And same thing with Cook, too. But I feel like the Cook pickup was, pretty. I think that was definitely the better one, especially given that, Gus Linskus is graduating. You want to have some competition, you want to have some depth. But yeah, I mean, they're both solid pickups, just like everything at this point, but especially the O line, you can never have enough depth, as we kind of learned last year. I think we're down to like Mashoud Giwa, who is our fourth string offensive tackle. Behind when Needham went down with an injury, when Langsdale and Chin did as well. So having those three back and then having Everett Small, I mean, like I said, you can never have enough offensive line depth. And Cook, very versatile. I'm liking that. He's earned several honors, so he could definitely, neither of them are probably going to start, but both of them, can can bring in, like, that necessary depth at the offensive line. Like, should anything happen, these guys will probably be one of the first to get in, in reserve minutes. So yeah, I mean, it's never a bad thing to get offensive line depth, and I think both of these guys can definitely do the job.
Also, I love that Jim Turner is becoming a active member in college football recruiting. I saw on the night report he visited several recruits in their own home.
Oh
You know,
wow.
and that's something we didn't have with Flaherty because respect to Flaherty, but he was a little bit older.
Right.
He did grab a couple recruits, but he didn't. He wasn't the point man on many different recruiting missions. Turner actually was and has been. So it is nice to have that extra, you know, somebody of his pedigree that can actually go out and meet with recruits in their own home like he has been doing. So that's going to definitely help our offensive line recruiting at least in the near future.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I think that's good because I mean, obviously having the new offensive line coach in Jim Turner, doing all this recruiting. I mean, it's definitely already resulted in a couple pickups here, so in the portal as well. So yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely good. Obviously, filling in the shoes of Pat Flaherty, definitely a tough move. But I mean, if Jim Turner's doing all that, then I think that definitely helps Rutgers' cause, with having a good continuous offensive line for next season.
Absolutely. Moving on to, I guess, other transfer portal additions that the Knights have made recently. They're kind of sticking with the offensive trend here. They added Louisiana Tech running back Clay Thevenin. I hope I said
Definitely.
that correctly. Um, Clay Thevenin has committed to Rutgers. He stands at 5'10", 202 pounds. 100, and in his last year with Louisiana Tech, he had 131 carries for 634 yards and 8 touchdowns. He caught 33 passes for 269 yards, and he comes to Rutgers with 1 year of eligibility remaining. Now, again, I don't know much about the NIL dealings behind the scenes of the university, right? But I would
Mhm.
have to imagine that Thevenin was brought in on a dirt cheap deal. Like, they scraped the bottom of the barrel and
Yeah.
found a couple coins in the corner and brought him in because first of all, we already have our bell cow running back. Second of all, um, we need to spend money on defense, and
Yep.
that's where the 99% of our money needs to be going. And then third of all, like his numbers at Louisiana Tech are not that great. He does sound like he's going to be a little bit more of a CJ Campbell type where he
Hmm.
a little bit more of a receiving threat out of the backfield. But I think they just wanted to add an extra body behind behind Antoine Raymond with the loss of Sam Brown and CJ Campbell to the portal. And that's just what it seems like here. It just seems like they're just getting a body, you know, somebody that can carry the ball and fall forward. I mean, he does have that receiving element to him, but in reality, I don't even know if he's gonna jump Jashawn Benjamin because Benjamin
Yeah.
had like 300 yards rushing last season. he had 600, but at a much lower level. So I can't. I don't even know if he's going to jump Benjamin on the depth chart with how highly they speak of him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think probably not because I mean Benjamin's been in the system for several years. So I mean, like they've always been very high on him. I think he's going to be the number two back. He also kind of has that more like CJ Campbell-esque, like he's not so much a receiving threat, but he can, kind of has that shifty ability. And he can catch passes out of the backfield a little bit. But I mean, obviously Raymond is going to be the bell cow back. We saw what he did last season, the year before. I mean, this year he won not the Doak Walker, but he won
Cornish Award.
the Cornish Award. But I mean, he had over like 1,000 rushing yards again this past season. I mean, he's going to be the number one. Benjamin's going to be like the number two, and then Louisiana Tech. I mean, I think they had a pretty good season in the CUSA, and weirdly enough, they played LSU like pretty close. I want to say, or did they? Or kind of, I don't know. LSU had a weird season. They like struggle with a lot of teams they shouldn't have. But anyway, I mean, but that's besides the point. But like, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I think Stevenin coming in for he's more going to be like a depth piece or like a reserve running back because you already have like Antoine Raymond, the bell cow, and then you have Sean Benjamin behind him. So his stats are also not really that great. Seems like he had like a lot of carries, and I mean, not like a lot, but a decent amount. 634 yards, 8 touchdowns. Definitely has that ability to catch passes out of the backfield. 33 passes for 269 yards. So that could obviously be a good thing. I mean, we saw like CJ Campbell in the beginning of the season before he got injured do a little bit of that. So I don't know. Chances are, I mean, like he ends up in the lineup. Plays a little bit here and there, kind of provides the offense with the spark when needed. But like, yeah, obviously not like a huge name, but I think, given that Sam Brown's leaving, CJ Campbell's leaving, you have some depth, you have another running back who can catch passes, and I think those are all good things because, as good as, I mean, Raymond is, that's not true. I mean, Raymond also did catch some passes last year actually, but it's always good to have, running back depth, someone you can bring into the lineup, you can, so he'll probably end up splitting the reserve or the backup carries with Deshaun Benjamin. And yeah, I mean, I think they needed that third back in the fold who has experience, and this is going to be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it really just seems like an extra body, and I don't know how else to put it other than that because nothing about his stats really jump off the page to me.
Yeah.
If he had like 1,200 rushing yards at Louisiana Tech, then that would be different. That would be like, okay,
Yeah.
wow, this guy knows what he's doing. Or if he had something like, I guess with his 8 touchdowns, he can be a little bit more of a short yardage back. I mean, I don't necessarily know,
Yeah,
but
like a goal line back or something. That's true. It seems like a lot of rushing touchdowns for for someone with his stats.
yeah, but he
Definitely.
doesn't have like the height and the weight for it. So I don't know. Like, I mean, as much as I want to, want to find something here that I think is going to fit into that niche, I think his biggest niche is going to be the pass catching running back. But then again, you don't want a running back where when they bring him in, they know you're just going to throw the ball. So
That's true.
we'll have to see what changes happen to his game when he does get to Rutgers. One thing I did want to point out though, and us talking about Antoine Raymond really kind of like shed light on it. In both football and basketball this year, Rutgers has needed a insane performance from one player to get victories in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah,
Actually,
think about that for 1 second. I mean, their win over Purdue, Duff had 240 yards and a touchdown. In their win over Maryland, Antoine Raymond had 241 yards and a touchdown.
yeah,
In basketball's win over Oregon, Tariq Francis dropped a 30 burger, and then he did so again in their overtime win against Northwestern.
yeah. I know, and that's nuts. It seems like they're needing. They don't have like enough like on the team, but like it's like one player. I mean, that's Francis's third 30-point game of the season. I mean, Yeah, I mean that was
He's
quite
a
something.
beast.
Another overtime win. Yeah, I mean it seems like it's always like one player. Really. Yeah, KJ Duff against Purdue. I mean, you're right. Like making 6 catches. I mean, they're all like highlight reel. Antoine Raymond putting the team on his back against Maryland. I mean, just 41 like I think like 40 carries or like 241 yards. It was like something nuts. Like I mean, they were just feeding him the ball, and then like obviously in basketball, it's been Tariq Francis just absolutely balling out. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it was 41 carries, 240 yards for Antoine Raymond, and then Duff was like 240 yards and like 6 catches, which is just like ridiculous. And Tariq Francis has been absolutely balling out. I mean, we'll talk about basketball later, but second overtime win in a week, and yeah, I don't know what it is, but it just seems like they need those heroic performances to get Big Ten wins is really what's going on here.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it. But before we do get to basketball, we do have one more commit to go over. One more transfer portal commit. Defense as sorry, had a little bit something stuck in my throat there.
Oh,
As Citadel defensive back Bradley Jones has committed to Rutgers. He weighs in at 6'1", 175 pounds. Recorded 53 tackles, 8 pass breakups, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 touchdown last season. And breakdown in coverage in 2025, courtesy of the guys over at the Night Report. He had 29 receptions on 45 targets for 382 yards and 3 touchdowns. Um,
hmm.
Now, see, like the thing is, like this kid is fast, and he fits that mold of that fast corner that they have been desiring in recent years. He was actually a track player while he was at the Citadel. He runs what equates to be about like a 4.3 40 time because a 100 yard dash. You adjust that to
Right.
240 yards. Yeah, the kid is fast, and that's exactly what I guess they're looking for in these cornerbacks that they've been not only just picking up in the transfer portal, but just overall in their high school recruiting too. They've been recruiting these track stars essentially to come in, have the physical talent, and then we will fix you how to play the game that we want. You know, but it does seem like another player that's going to fit the mold of what Chiano's looking for in the corners.
Yeah, no, the speed is definitely like, I mean, off speed is like off the page. Like, if 4.34, I mean, that's just like that's insanely like 4.4 is very fast too. I mean, like so I mean that's kind of like your go to times. Like anything faster than that's like true speedster. And he's played on both sides of the ball. On top of that, which is which is pretty promising. But obviously he's going to be defensive back for Rutgers. But yeah, no, I mean, I think the main thing here is the speed. And yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, he played, pretty decent, I guess. He really, I guess, had his breakout year last year. I mean, he's played like all 3 years. So he's got the starting corner job in 24. In 25, I mean, he had 53 tackles, 8 pass breakups, 1 fumble recovery that he returned for a touchdown, and he allowed 29 29 receptions on 45 targets for 382 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's not bad, honestly. I mean, it's really not. It's not not terrible at all. Obviously, he's playing at a a lot lower level. I guess someone else coming up, but yeah, the speed is definitely really promising. He's all over the ball. I mean, he had a sack in 24. He had 30 tackles, a forced fumble, 8 passes broken up. So he's definitely a ball hawk, which is good. You want those types of corners who can, obviously, get pass breakups, fumble recoveries, can get all the way down for a sack or, a TFL if necessary. But he really has his hands all over the ball. I mean, that speed definitely shows. I mean, when he makes all these tackles, he breaks up passes, things like that. But yeah, I mean, obviously the speed is definitely really promising. I mean, he's going to be joining Zamir Dawood from Villanova that they ended up getting earlier, and it seems like he's probably going to be the guy that's going to, if anything, maybe be the one to be higher up on the depth chart and stuff like that. I mean, so it seems like he's kind of like going to be, behind him. But I think it's a very solid, addition for like a reserve corner. I mean, like the speed's good. Like I said, he's all over the ball. He could definitely do everything necessary at the cornerback position in terms of pass breakups, in terms of making tackles, and I think that's kind of like what Rutgers really wants in the secondary. Someone who's active, gets their hands on the football, and does all the little things right. So I mean that's definitely what he is, and I'm pretty excited about this one. I think for a reserve corner addition, I think he's a very solid player.
I don't know what you mean by reserve corner. I mean, like who's going to be reserved to?
Well, that's true. I mean, all three guys are. I mean, I think,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right. I mean, because all Masco and all three guys are like basically
Masco,
wings,
Miller, and Henderson are all
and
gone.
Henderson are all gone, right? So
He's probably
maybe,
going to be a
yeah.
starter if I
I mean,
had
not
to
even a
say.
reserve. I think I meant like second. Like, I mean, I think Dawood's going to be, I guess, one of the starters. But yeah, he's going to be the other. I guess he's going to be on the other side of the ball. Then I mean, on the other side of the opposite corner. So I mean, but everything I said about like his stats and everything, very promising. Yeah, I mean, I think both of these guys could ball. Like, I think Dawood obviously coming in from Villanova, very similar type of player, very active, and Jones, Bradley Jones as well. So I mean, I think. I guess in that case, yeah. I mean, I think Rutgers is going to be pretty good with their quarterbacks now. I mean, you have two guys coming in, to replace the three. Maybe they need one more, but I mean, like, I think he's definitely a very promising addition to the Scarlet Knights.
I wish he had a little bit more eligibility too, just so he can take that time to adjust to this level. Because, in all honesty, like when you're grabbing players from lower levels like that, I believe that you want like 2 years of eligibility because you
Yeah,
need time to adjust to this level of play. But, you know, I
that's
just,
true.
I don't know how possible that is either, you know, um, like at all, really. We'll see. But I guess we'll see in the further on the transfer portal. But like I said, they're really going bargain bin searching and trying to build a team
Yeah,
out of the bargain bin. You
yeah,
know, we'll see how much it works. We've seen money. Everybody's seen Moneyball, I hope, or at least if you haven't, go watch it. But that's essentially what they're building here. They're building a team out of bargain bin additions. Um, he does have incredible speed. I really hope that he can mold what they want him to be in 1 year because like I said, I would prefer to have that one off season where you're not exactly a starter, and then the second one where you do take over as a full time starter, even if you have incredible talents like that, because talents need to be developed properly. Um, Still a little bit concerned that we don't have a defensive coordinator and we don't have a staff in place because that
yeah,
means less time to develop everybody overall, less time to talk, less time to, you know, we need to get moving. I mean, there's no other way to
yeah.
put it. I'm a little bit like andale, andale, andale. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's kind of like getting late in the portal cycle too. This is like what, the second week. How long is the portal window like open for? I think we're like almost, like, I think it's open for another week or so. But yeah, I mean, I think Rutgers has probably done most of their work by now. But I mean, there's still like a lot of work to do at the same time, and especially in the defensive. Well, they did get like a decent amount of, they got some edges, defensive tackles. They're probably mostly done, but the defensive coordinator position obviously still
I
open.
don't think no,
Um,
like that's the thing. I don't think they should be mostly done. I think they still
I
need
feel
to
like they
go to
still need
work.
a lot of work though. That's like it seems like, what I mean. Even though they got like defensive players, they got offensive players like O line, running back, like reserved
And
there.
the transfer
Uh,
portal doesn't close in a
yeah,
week. It closes in 2 days.
2 days. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought like we're almost
But
the same, but I wasn't 100% sure
Miami and Indiana players have an extension to enter the transfer portal because
because they're in the national championship
they're
game.
in the national championship, and I think
But,
Old Miss
right,
and Oregon do too. I don't think we're going
probably.
to be grabbing anybody from that. I'm just going to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
But hey, maybe we'll get somebody completely buried on Indiana's depth chart. But yeah,
Who
no, they
knows? Could
have
be
2 days,
2 days.
two more
Wow,
days for the
we're
regular
almost.
window,
And
which
there's
is
no
I would
more spring window either, by the way. Like so,
yeah.
they took that out. So yeah, this is it. Like I mean, it's been open since what, New Year's Day or the day after New Year's Day. So, yeah. I mean, Rutgers has had a lot of time, and they've made some moves early in the cycle. Kind of that initial stage, and then over the past week, they've continued to make more. We just talked about, small, the O line ads, Riley Jones, Clay Devenin. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's I don't know. I mean, I feel like they had a good haul, but I feel like there could be more work to be done. I
Well,
feel like they still need another quarter. They still need, different things. It's I feel like they could definitely have added more people, and they definitely could still add a few more people. They did get a lot of depth. Guys, they got a quarterback in Lonergan, which is obviously very interesting given opens a quarterback competition. But yeah, I mean, and then like guys on the defensive line, on the offensive line. But yeah, I mean, I feel like there could be more work to be done. We'll see what Rutgers does. But yeah, I mean, I think the big concern at this point though is obviously the defensive coordinator. Is anyone do they have anyone in place when that hire is going to be made? Because I think we're going to be looking towards that next.
yeah, I think we're going to be looking towards that too. However, I just did want to mention the 16th is the last day that players can enter the portal. They can
Hmm.
sign with the team at I believe any time. I could be wrong,
Anytime.
but they
Yeah,
can.
maybe. Yeah, I think so. At least up to probably spring ball. Even then after that, because last year, like I mean, Rutgers added players in the summer. Like the punt returner. I forget
Yeah,
like who exactly, and then he ended up transferring out. But yeah, I mean, players can be added anytime. I believe up to when the season starts, because they did that. Players YD Collier reclassified. They brought in their punt returner from NIU who ended up. Yeah, but I mean, I think in terms of entering the portal, that has to be done within the next 2 days, and yeah, there's no spring portal window, so those things have to be yeah, so additions I guess could still be made, I believe after that, but they do have to be in the portal within a couple days. So we're probably like winding down the clock on the transfer portal cycle additions. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess like what are your like general thoughts on how these additions have gone for the Scarlet Knights, and how much work there is left to be done in your opinion?
I think there's still a lot of work left to be done, my good friend. As much as I really don't want to say that.
Yeah, I know, right? Like it feels like there just hasn't been enough. Like there's been
Again,
a
this
lot of
this
depth,
this
but
seems
there
like
just hasn't
this
been
seems like
enough.
a bargain bin defense. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. The offense, I think, has. I mean, given that we've kind of had our, the Rutgers has had a foundation. Like I think the O line guys, that's good depth there. Like we talked about Small and Cook, and even Thievenen and some of the other guys. The defense, yeah, it doesn't look. I mean, it kind of does look a little bit bargain bin, like like we mentioned. With like, hopefully these guys could transfer up, and
because
like Bradley Jones.
one thing I expected them to be like, I expected them to be cheap in the transfer portal. Obviously, I mean, like look at us, but you know,
Yeah,
with but I do know that the NIL situation has improved. I mean, according to all the limited information we get our hands on, like I
right.
said, limited, but well, according to all the limited information we ever get our hands on, the our NIL situation is a lot better. So what I was expecting is to get a whole bunch of these like bargain bin, additions in the transfer portal. But, I was expecting to get maybe like two whales on defense too.
Yeah,
Maybe we
kind
get
of.
like a maybe we get like a really good pass rusher from a power four team that
Yeah, I
struggled
feel
and
like
just
that's what
wanted
we're
to,
kind of missing. Like, like
or maybe we
I mean,
get like
last
a
yeah,
like a true linebacker from a power four team that struggled, but we didn't really get that. So now I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know what
like
to
kind
make
of a
of any of
mix.
these. But then
Yeah,
again,
I think-
this is not
yeah,
the end of everything. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have several more additions by the time we truly get things going. You know, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah,
true,
not
true.
I'm not like over the moon about this. I'm not like down in the dumps because the only way I would have been down in the dumps is if they got nobody, you know.
Right, yeah, which that
I was
obviously did. didn't happen because we got players. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like on one hand we didn't like. I would have probably liked a little bit more, and then on the other hand, the quality also isn't the greatest. Although a lot of these guys on the lower level, like we talked about Jones, we talked about. I mean, like the offensive side, I think I'm pretty satisfied. I think defense, getting like multiple like FCS like level corners. I mean, some of the big names I think were like Ty Morris, who was all American Conference. I think that was probably like the best one of the cycle. Rondo Porter, I think, is going to be a pretty good one on the on defensive line coming in from App State as well. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I wasn't really like too impressed. We didn't really get any like standouts, I guess, but we got a lot of guys in there, you know. I mean, you got Malachi Davis. You got a lot of guys who can ball, but no true like superstars. Or like last year, we got like Bradley Weaver, Eric O'Neal, and obviously they kind of underachieved. But those are kind of like the big names that were like, okay, yeah, we got some pass rushers that are really good. Like this year, didn't really like see too much of that, but kind of just pulling
But to
things
be fair,
together
like
to a
even this
defense.
year, I had more hope about the transfer additions coming in last off season than I do this off
Yeah,
season. And
right.
that's
Like
what I'm
those guys,
concerned about.
I was like really excited. I was like, okay, we have a pass rush. We have corners coming in. Like this year, it's just kind of like, okay, well, we'll see what we got. Like, yeah, Bradley Jones, pretty decent. Like DeWood, pretty decent at the lower level. But now these guys are going to be starting next year, and now we kind of, I mean, considering how bad the pass defense was last year, I mean, maybe, I'm sure, hopefully, it'll be better than that. But yeah, just, like none of this really inspires like a ton of confidence. I guess there's like no like true like okay, this guy's really good. Like, I mean, except for, maybe you can argue like Ty Morris, could be pretty decent at linebacker, but there's no like true like standout. And it feels like there's still more holes to fill too on top of that, which is weird. But like, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, it's never enough. It's like, I feel like the quantity's a little down. The quality is like way down. And, but who knows? I mean, it's like, we're going to have to hope for the best. I mean, these guys could definitely play, but none of them like really seem like all that impressive, I guess, which is I guess kind of the problem. They're like all pretty good, like at the lower level, but it's just like now these guys are going to be in the starting lineup, and it still feels like we're plugging in our holes, and we're putting a roster together, which is obviously good, but none of these guys like seem that impressive, and I think that's kind of like what worries me about like next season now.
Yeah, there's nothing that really jumps off the page, and it just I don't know what I'm supposed to be hopeful here for.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's nobody in this class besides the corners I would actually argue that I'm really happy about. But
The corners
there's nobody
actually
in
do look
the
pretty
class
pretty good. Yeah.
other than the corners that I go, holy crap, wow, we got them. I'm
Right. Like
hopeful.
Jones actually looks pretty like, he looks pretty good. Like I mean all this his production, I mean so yeah, I mean he's actually someone who, could definitely start. I mean the way like his stats are, his pass breakups. Same thing with Dawood, but like the rest of the defense, like I mean I'm really like not seeing it, like especially on the front, the front seven really. Like it's just except for maybe, Ty Morris, like I mean it doesn't really look too impressive. Like I was hoping for like a bit more, and I think like I said, quality, but or quantity, but especially quality. And other than like I think Morris, and I mean I guess the corners, like yeah, it just doesn't look that impressive. Which is
No.
kind of unfortunate, but we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a whole new defense next season. Obviously, the coordinator situation still up in the air, but yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, last year, like the transfer portal defense kind of didn't really go that well for us, but obviously a lot of that had to do with the coordinating situation with Rob Smith and everything. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Like you said, it's a bargain bin defense. I think they're gonna have to make the most out of who they have. And on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, they got that continuity back in Raymond and Duff, and the quarterback situation, I guess now is a little bit up in the air. But I guess Rutgers football is gonna have to make the best of all of it. And yeah, I mean, offensive side, I think pretty solid. Defense, we'll have to see what we got. So I mean, in terms of all the players that we added, so we'll see what happens. But I mean, it's a little bit concerning, like to say the least. I guess that we're almost done, and we're like, like I don't know, like none of these guys
Yeah,
are really like that impressive, except for like maybe a couple that are pretty okay, but like pretty solid. But yeah, I mean I don't know. We'll see. I think we'll just have to make the most out of the players that we do have, because there are a lot of solid ones coming in.
Well, this sounds like the perfect time to remind all Rutgers fans that that Kurt Signetti was actually a very strong candidate to take the Rutgers job after Chris Ash was fired in 2019. I just feel like this is a good time to remind
Yeah,
everybody of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
you know, just
True,
wanted
true.
to in case you guys all forgot. But moving
Yeah,
on to happier things, and I can't believe I'm saying that. We got to talk about basketball. Basketball earned its second Big Ten win of the season, second overtime Big Ten win of the season, behind its behind a second 30-point game from Tariq Francis in the Big Ten this season. Um, yeah, so Rutgers takes down Northwestern at home, 77-75. Again, like Tariq Francis, everybody eat their words about what they said about Tariq Francis coming
yeah.
in the offseason. I know I have to eat my own words. Inefficient at NJIT, but man, has he just been a glimmer of light on an otherwise dark, dark season. But um, again, he essentially, along with the help of Darren Buchanan, powers Rutgers to a victory over Northwestern. Northwestern had yeah, yeah, sorry, I as the listener might be able to tell, I'm battling a cold, so I'm not like 100%. I just need to look up something real quick.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't really get to watch too much of this game because I was out, but I did see the kind of the highlights from it, and Northwestern kind of had a bit of a lead like early on,
Oh well,
and
yeah,
then
no,
yeah,
they really started taking it to Rutgers at one point. I want to say they were up 12 at one point, actually,
I
but
believe so. They were up. Yeah,
in the same fashion that they did against Oregon, Rutgers found a way to battle back, shrunk Northwestern's lead to almost nothing coming out
yeah,
of halftime, and then were
yeah.
able to continue to blast them from there. It's Nick Martinelli, by the way. That's what I was thinking of. Nick, but despite the Rutgers victory, Nick Martinelli for the Wildcats got like 35
34
points, and it's
points.
like
That's nuts. I mean,
yeah,
that's and
34
12
points.
boards. I mean, yeah, that he was playing like, I mean, out of his mind. I mean, like seeing that, but yeah, I mean that's a lot of points. Like, yeah, 34 points, 12 boards. I mean, he had a great game. Yeah, Northwestern, they were up by I think 12 early in the game. They're kind of, and then Rutgers roars back. They, yeah. I mean, because I think I even saw like Northwestern was up like I don't even like 21-8, or like it was like something like that, like very early on in the game, and it was kind of like, oh man. And then Rutgers comes back. It's 35-33 at the half. They tie it. They win the second half 34-32. Very even game, and then overtime. I mean, obviously, like Tariq Francis had another masterpiece of a performance. Again, coming off the bench too, which is like, I guess, becoming his thing. But like he still gives them 34 minutes played. Buchanan, I mean, he played 41 minutes. He got the game-winning block. I mean, that was just a sensational play that he made to, get to the rim, block the layup, because that would have gone in for sure. And he obviously swats it. That would have been double overtime right there. I mean, the way he was, that was a sure thing layup. I mean, like, so I mean, he would have made the layup for sure. Forced double overtime. Buchanan comes all the way, like kind of like LeBron James gets that block, and now you have your second overtime win in less than a week. I mean, because they had one against Oregon on Monday afternoon, as well. So I mean, similar fashion too. Francis had 30 points. I mean, Lino Mark, Buchanan, and Jamichael Davis all at 13. Francis, I mean, yeah, 30 on Monday night against Oregon, to kind of will the Scarlet Knights to a victory over there, in overtime. Really bad call that kind of forced that overtime period, but Rutgers was able to pull that one out. Then they go to Illinois and get completely shellacked. I mean, just completely dominated. So yeah, I mean, obviously in that game, Francis only had 6. nothing was really going right for Rutgers. They were thrashed 43-16 in the first half, and it just the second half they actually won, which is again with the funny part 39
Stop with
38.
that. Stop. No, stop. Oh, we won the second half.
I don't
Okay.
know. I feel like it's just become like a recurring theme after Pikel is like, "Oh, we won the second half against Tennessee."
No, come on.
Yeah, I know that doesn't. I was almost saying it like in jest because, like, I mean, Oregon, the win was really exciting. I mean, they just didn't really come off the plane at Illinois, so at that point, it just didn't really matter. But I mean,
Well, I think that
you know,
Illinois just simply outclassed them in every area.
yeah,
I mean, their bigs
they
like
just
brutalized us.
yeah, that's true. I mean, they had they multiple bigs. But once you're down 43-16, like there isn't really too much you could do except for making it look respectable, which they actually did. Obviously still
Yeah.
20-ish point, 26-point loss, not great. But then they come home against Northwestern and they get their second conference victory of the season now, and second overtime win in 6 days, which is quite the feat. And yeah, obviously Francis, deserves so much credit for that. I mean, like, he's continuing to put the team on his back, but Buchanan played a really good game too. He had 14 and 10, the game winning block. I mean,
He made
that block
several clutch free throws as well. I mean,
yeah, a couple of
every
clutch
free
free
throw that
throws.
he missed that could have put away the game, he
Right.
also made several clutch free throws. I believe one was to force overtime. I could
I
be
think
wrong.
so, yeah, because they were down by. I think they were down by one or something, and then I don't know. I don't exactly remember, but yeah, I think he made one that forced overtime. He missed the one that would have given them the win, but then he makes up for it by, scoring the overtime. Well, he scored. I mean, yeah, I mean, he split the
The
pair.
chase down block is what got them the win.
Right, the chase down blocks got them the win. I mean, he made a free throw to force overtime, couldn't get the win in regulation, but then yeah, he got the chase down block. I mean, Northwestern would have easily forced double overtime, like I said, if not for that. And yeah, I mean, that was a heroic block from Buchanan. So really, the two of them, kind of teaming up there to get the win for the Scarlet Knights. But yeah, I mean, definitely very exciting week for basketball. I mean, you have two of those and two home games, and suddenly this team is 9-8, and they're kind of right back in the mix. I mean, not really, but I mean, they're kind of out of the basement of the Big Ten. They have a couple conference wins, which is something that quite a few teams like don't in this conference. So like I mean. I think in the men's tournament, every team makes the Big Ten tournament. The women's, it's top 15, right? So I mean, that wouldn't, I guess, really come into play. But I mean, Rutgers is kind of making their way, slowly up the standings a little bit. I mean, I didn't really see two wins this early in Big Ten play. I mean, obviously they're against teams like Oregon, Northwestern, who are kind of also towards the bottom of the conference, but still, I mean,
I mean, it doesn't
they've
matter
gotten a
because
couple.
at the end of the day, we really thought that 2 wins was going to be the max
Like
that they
it for
get.
the year, yeah. So I mean, to be able to do that in um yeah, to be able to get both of those in like in a week's time, like I mean, literally, I mean that's that provides some confidence, especially the way that these games have been won overtime, dog fights. I mean, tough shots being made and heroics, like what I mean. It just provides like that confidence, like yeah, we can go do it. And now there's kind of a extended layoff. Although they do return on Saturday. Yeah, they do return on Saturday on the road. They have a little bit of a road trip in the Midwest, Wisconsin, Saturday, Iowa, Tuesday night. So, and then home versus Indiana and Michigan State coming up after that, and then the West Coast trip. But yeah, I mean, that's this Midwest road trip, we'll see. I mean, Wisconsin's been looking like a pretty good team, decent team in the Big Ten. I mean, I think so has Iowa. They've both been all right, but I mean, yeah, Wisconsin right now 4-2 in the conference. Playing pretty solid. They beat Michigan, who nobody had up to that point. Michigan was just steamrolling people. And then I mean Iowa also they're on a 2-game losing streak. But they're still a pretty competitive team.
Yeah, but you know
Had
what
the
though?
regular season.
There's no real break in this schedule right now. Like there's no
Yeah,
there's
I mean it's Big
not
Ten. It's
until
Big Ten fun.
February. Not until
Yeah,
February.
that's
No,
true.
what I
I
mean
mean
is like we're not going to get another Northwestern or another Oregon until we
Oregon.
get to February. You
Yeah, because
know,
then you have
I would be
Maryland, Penn
surprised if they
State,
steal a
things
win
like
over
that.
this stretch.
It'll be very difficult. I mean, going on the road in these types of like environments. I mean, Wisconsin. That's obviously they've been playing really well right recently. Like I mentioned, getting the win over Michigan. Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, the Michigan win stands out. I mean, Iowa's been a pretty good team, even though they've kind of struggled a little bit recently. They still are 12-4. They had a couple losses, but yeah, that's still going to be a tough. Those are still going to be tough games for Rutgers. See, this whole stretch is going to be very tough. It's going to be tough for the Scarlet Knights to steal a win. I think you're right about that. I mean, Indiana's kind of been struggling ish in Big Ten play, but they've still been doing pretty okay. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, I think they kind of had one of their easier weeks of the season, and in Big Ten play at least, and they took advantage of it. They got 2 wins. There are
Yeah,
other
that
wins
was
on
the
the schedule,
surprising
but
part.
not for a while. I think you're right about that. I think Penn State, Maryland. I mean Maryland, like I said, like they don't really look good. They've been really struggling in Big Ten play this season. Pretty much any game that isn't a give me, they've lost. They're 7-10 on the season. Northwestern kind of at the bottom. Penn State also at the bottom. They're 9-7. They weren't expected to be very good, although they've kind of hung around. But yeah, I mean the schedule only gets tougher before it gets easier. But that's life in the Big Ten. So I mean we'll see how Rutgers does. But those wins definitely did inspire some confidence and some excitement. And I mean I think in a season like this, you kind of know what you have with your roster, and I think you'll take what you can get, and those types of wins, like those are things that you could take and use for confidence building for the rest of the season for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the fact that, I mean, I don't I think Pico must know it at this point that he's playing for his job or he's coaching for his job
Because
right now. He's probably but I also think that if they at least get to like 12 wins maybe, cuz what are they sitting at right now? 8?
I
8
think
wins.
they're 9-8 right now on the season.
If they at least actually if they like get to 12 wins, I think he probably saves his job.
Yeah,
Um,
I think yeah, probably. Honestly, I mean that's
I think that's what he knows that he's coaching for right now.
right. His
He's
job. Yeah,
coaching for his
exactly,
life,
exactly.
you
I
know?
know, I know. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it seems possible now. I mean, like after this kind of start to conference play, like 12 wins. Maybe they squeeze out a few more. It's obviously not going to be that great of a season. But yeah, they have Maryland twice, they have Penn State twice. I mean, there's definitely games on here that there's Rutgers is due for a surprise win probably at some point too, and we'll see what happens. But I mean, yeah, I think he is coaching for his job, but I don't know. It feels good,
Maybe
right?
it'll come in a packed house against Indiana. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe
Like we were
depending on
talking
how
about
this.
before.
That's true. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, depending on how this road trip goes, but either way, I mean, Rutgers fans have really showed up and showed out. That's also a Friday evening game, kind of early tip at 6 too. I mean, might be a prime viewing there for the Scarlet Knights. So I mean,
Yeah, with tickets over $200, it better be a prime viewing.
yeah, that's crazy. I did not expect that to. Tickets have been very cheap up to this point in time. So I mean, Indiana's obviously a big basketball brand, and now
And
also they're a big football brand too. But like, I mean,
The Michigan State tickets are going for 70. So
yeah,
like
I mean, yeah, Michigan State doesn't. Yeah, that's another big basketball brand, and a ranked opponent, and they also don't usually come to Rutgers a lot. We've always played them at the Garden, so far that has
yeah,
not
because they're
happened yet this
scared.
season. Yeah,
They're
but I guess yeah. I mean, I guess these wins. I mean, tickets were so cheap, but I mean, these wins over Oregon and geez,
Northwestern.
yeah, Northwestern. I
They
lost.
they show that they show that we're not just like a completely dead man walking. They show
Exactly.
that we can win.
We can win
Like
these conference games. It's not just we're not just like done for the season. So yeah, I think because of that, like tickets prices have responded accordingly. I mean, it isn't going to be like, oh, well, just you can come and see it if you want to, and it's not that big of the deal. This team isn't that great. Like now they've been picking up some momentum, and now the ticket prices are starting to show that as well. So yeah, I mean, I guess hopefully you enjoyed the cheap tickets while they lasted. But we got a lot of exciting basketball coming up. I mean, I'm sure Rutgers fans show up for like these. They've been showing up all season. They showed up for Penn, Dell
well,
State, obviously conference
to
players.
be
Yeah,
fair, just gonna point this out. Rutgers fans will show up in droves. I don't care if it's football or basketball or freaking wrestling. They will
Yeah,
show up. They will show up in droves, and they will show up and show out. You have to give us something to root for.
exactly.
You have to give
Exactly.
us something to root for, because the second that Rutgers started going 6-6 again in football, the stadium started to sell out.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, the
Every
second that
big game. Every big game. Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
the second that basketball started to reach the NCAA tournament, and 80 game consecutive sellout streak started. You know,
Right.
give us something to root for, and we'll show up. I mean, it's not hard. It's not hard to just be okay. Like if you just get us to the level where we are an okay team, you know, the fans will show up and sell out the arena. They have proven that, like I
Yeah.
don't know. That's just my whole thinking on it. Like you know, just give us something where we're not going to be going into every game and like, oh, this again,
Right.
It's not hard. It's really not.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Like, it's definitely not hard to like be an average team, like, So I mean, yeah,
We
I
might
mean,
make it look hard, but it's not.
yeah, I know. I think you're 100% right. I mean, I think we do make it look hard, but it's really not that hard to be an average team. And yeah, Rutgers fans do show up. I mean, football, like, every year. I mean, they show up. I mean, every time there's a big game, and we looked at like Iowa sell out, Oregon sell out, the way that went. Even I mean, they were they were there for a while. I mean, up to at least halftime. Penn State, Maryland. I mean, every big game like they Rutgers fans have showed up. And basketball, I mean, even like the way this season, like Penn, Del State, even during break, obviously coming out of that in games like Oregon, Northwestern, those were like absolutely packed houses. And now like the team's been winning some games and picking up some momentum. So it makes sense that ticket prices are responding accordingly, because people are going to want to see this team. I mean, even if they're not going to be that great, I mean, they're still a very entertaining team that can get you a win, and that's exciting, right? That's what sports is all about at the end of the day. Like having a competitive team that can win games, bring the university pride. I mean, bring people together. Like people want to see that kind of stuff. So like I mean, and of course these opponents too coming in like also pretty good. So yeah, no, it's definitely very exciting. Those games hopefully are going to be pretty exciting. But I guess a lot of it kind of depends on how they do on this road trip to Wisconsin, Iowa, and they come back. And yeah, I mean, Indiana tickets are just like way more expensive than like anything else, which is probably saying a lot about them too. But yeah, I mean, the ticket prices have gone kind of back up to where they should be. They're no more like $10. You know what I mean? So like
No,
now
I
we're kind
like
of
my
looking.
$10 tickets.
Yeah, yeah, me too. But like, yeah, ticket prices have responded because the teams responded. I mean, that's like the short way to say it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that is the best way to put it. Just gonna kind of ease out of basketball here. I just wanted to go over some quick headlines that we covered in for On the Banks this week. Just check out the articles for.
Hmm.
Um, First headline is Calic Manis has. Oh my god, I can't believe I just said that. Calic Manis has. He's going to be playing in the American Bowl. The American Bowl is like this bowl that's meant to help veterans get into coaching. I want to say I'm like that's my best understanding of everything. But yeah, he played in the Hula Bowl. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened with the Hula Bowl with CBS contractors where we weren't able to watch it. But he'll be getting
Yeah,
more experience with former NFL head coaches at the American Bowl. So there is that for him. Um, Wrestling was completely dominated by Penn State. Penn State's obviously number one. Rutgers was
yeah,
number 16. The Knights failed to even win a single bout against Penn State,
yeah,
and also they lost 8 of their 10 bouts by either major decision, technical fall, or fall. Only 2 matches were decided by decision, the 125 pounders and the heavyweights. So, really tough showing from Rutgers
yeah.
Wrestling. Hopefully, they do better this weekend as they have Purdue and Michigan coming up. Or was it Michigan and Purdue? I forget the order, but
I think it's Michigan and Purdue, but yeah, busy week on the Banks for wrestling. They're going to be home for Excuse me. Back to back matches on Friday and Sunday. So definitely, show up, show out. I mean, that's obviously really fun. It's a fun sport to watch, but I mean, obviously, Penn State, yeah, like you mentioned, completely got dominated by them, and
They're world beaters. Yeah,
yeah,
you
I mean,
know.
they're really good. I mean, they've won like so many national championships in a row. I mean, it's like not even funny. Multiple All Americans. I mean, top of the country. Ranked. They had like a number one, they number two. Like, I mean, they're just multiple number ones. Top. Top tier top tier wrestlers there for the Nittany Lions. So yeah, Rutgers. I mean, only I think yeah, the 125 and the heavyweight were decisions. The rest were falls, technical falls. But that just shows how good Penn State is. That I mean, only two of them were even decisions where the Rutgers opponent stayed in the match the whole time. But yeah, these couple of duels are going to be pretty big. I mean, you have Michigan, you have Purdue coming up, so those are going to be pretty. Those are going to be pretty exciting. Rutgers also had a few starters out, so they had four freshmen wrestling in against Penn State. So that obviously doesn't help things either. So hopefully, they're going to be back for these home matchups because putting four freshmen out there against the number one team in the country, that's obviously not. It's not obviously not ideal, and like obviously it became kind of one sided. So yeah, I mean that's kind of like where your Rutgers is a good wrestling team, but I mean like Penn State is like like top of the country year after year. So it just shows like the
Yeah, I think
what
they've
level Penn
unseated.
State's really
I
at.
think they've unseated Iowa as the consistent number one team. But yeah,
Yeah,
definitely top of the country every year. I mean, that kind of tells the story of Rutgers wrestling this season. They've struggled against ranked teams, but have pretty much cleared all the non-ranked teams. So
right,
the
right.
team they just need to go out and earn a ranked win. Don't know when that's going to happen, but
Yeah.
they need to kind of show that on paper, and hopefully they can do so this weekend because I do know Michigan is ranked. I'm forgetting off the top of my head what they are ranked, but I do not know they are ranked.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Yeah, ranked wins are huge. I mean, I think we've talked about that a lot with like field hockey and some of the other sports as well. For football too, I mean, like it's been kind of like a ceiling for this wrestling team as well. I mean, they have the ability, I think, to get that, but obviously might not be against number one Penn State or won't be anymore. But I mean, against some of these other teams, hopefully they can get that ranked win. They can get their starters back. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's pretty much where wrestling's at. But a busy week for them at Jersey Mike's. I guess I did want to mention. I mean, women's basketball lost by 20 to Northwestern. It was kind of like a game where they again struggled to score the basketball consistently, and they fell way behind. It just became like an ugly free throw shooting game towards the end of it too. But obviously, like when you go on extended scoring droughts, and the other team continues to score pretty, at will. Those are the kind of things that happen. That it's kind of been a problem. I was not expecting that. Northwestern was on a 10-game losing streak coming in. They had not won a conference game. I thought this would be a good opportunity for Rutgers to get a bounce back. But I mean, yeah, Rutgers just didn't really, do that great. I mean,
they didn't
Northwestern.
even like my God, they didn't even get off the bus. Like
Yeah, like literally. I mean, they felt like way behind. I mean, multiple players for Northwestern had double digits. Casey Harder played really well. Sullivan played, very well. One of their guards, Lau, like had like over 10 assists like before the fourth quarter or something like that. So yeah, Caroline Lau, she did good. Grace Sullivan, had 20. And then Casey Harder at 21, she did really well as well. Making some 3-point shots, getting to the rim. But Rutgers, did not play well at all. I mean, they just absolutely got dominated. They shot 29% on field goal attempts, 21% from three. So that just shows like where they were at. And against a team like Northwestern that lost 10 games straight, that was at the bottom of the conference, and Rutgers has been close in some of these other conference games. And I thought they would be able to get a win, or at the very least least like a competitive loss against Northwestern. I really thought they would be able to get the win. So disappointed that they dropped one in the fashion that they did. And now they have another opportunity at Penn State on Sunday, another team kind of at the bottom of the standings where they really need to kind of get these wins. And like Northwestern, I thought would be one of them where they could, but unfortunately, it didn't quite happen, I guess. So, that's, yeah, it was just a really disappointing game. They lost by 19, completely got outplayed. I mean, you kind of just stopped scoring the ball for a while, and it was just like, once that happens, like it's kind of hard to pick momentum back up because Northwestern was pulling ahead by like 15.
The
15
problem is
plus.
our offensive strategy seems to be to turtle for 15 minutes in the middle of the game.
Yeah, I mean, like in the beginning, they were. I mean, the first quarter, I think they got up to a 17-7 lead, and they were, Northwestern close to 19-15, but then second quarter was all Northwestern, and then they were up at 39-31 the half, and then third quarter, I mean, they dominated even further, and it was just like an explosion. I mean, it was 52-37 by the time. I mean, by the time Rutgers woke up, it was too late. I mean, and Northwestern was already up by like 14, and it was just like,
but a team should not need to wake up. A team of this talent should not need to wake up. I mean, in all honesty, if we're like one of those world-beating teams, then waking up against a weaker team, yeah, that's kind of like, okay, that's sometimes what they do. They get lured into a trap a little bit. They wake up and then they come out and they beat the other team.
Right.
Might be closer than expected, but yeah, that happens all the time. But this is not a team that should be waking up in anything. This is a team that should be looking to put foot on the gas, boot on the neck for 4 quarters. But for some reason, we have been completely unable to do that.
Yeah, I mean, after like after the first quarter, like the second, third quarter was like all Northwestern. It was like really all Northwestern, and even the fourth quarter, like as well. I mean, was they just couldn't really cut the lead. Like, I mean, yeah, after two full quarters of like all Wildcats, like it was just too late. And I mean, even then, like they didn't really cut the lead. In fact, they let it get even further off. Like the end of the game, they just didn't really, they didn't really score that much either. So, I mean, Northwestern continued to score at that point, and it kind of just became a game of free throws. Things slowed down, but Northwestern just kind of cruised to that final margin.
They still outscored us in the fourth quarter, too.
Yeah, because the lead was like 14-15, and then it became 19 by the end of the game. So they definitely outscored Rutgers in the fourth as well. So yeah, I mean, it's not like it got any closer either. It's just disappointing because, like I said, Northwestern really wasn't looking good coming into this game. So I mean, neither was Rutgers. They got absolutely like shellacked by Maryland on Thursday. They lost 88-41. It was kind of one of those games. But Northwestern, I thought they could kind of bounce back, and obviously they just did not. And they, after the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, all three of the last 3 quarters were just pretty much dominated by Northwestern. Even the fourth quarter, they kind of showed some life. Northwestern still outscored them. So yeah, Northwestern gets to win. Rutgers soul searching, but they got another opportunity on Sunday against Penn State. So another team at the bottom of the standings, another team that I guess now the only team below Rutgers in the standings. So Rutgers really needs this win badly. Penn State has not won a conference game so far this season. So we'll see if Rutgers can respond after the extended layoff. Because after that, they have number 8 Michigan coming to town. So schedule, kind of gets tougher again, and then they have the 4 West Coast teams: Washington, Oregon home, and USC, UCLA on the road.
Right. I mean, yeah. Sorry, I got a little distracted there. Some stuff from work popped up, but yeah. I mean, it's. I don't like. There's like. I don't want to say there's no hope, but it's like
it feels like really it kind of does feel like there's like no like after that kind of performance against that team, like where you're thinking this is one of our only chances to get a win. Like you play like that, like it's just like like what are we doing here? Like it just feels like really like I don't know, like lethargic. Like it just did not inspire like much of any confidence, like to play like that in a game where you really need to win the game. And yeah, I mean that doesn't really leave this team in a good place. But a win can change all of that on Sunday. I mean, you win on Sunday, you bring momentum back home, and we go from there. I guess you have a homestand coming up after that, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I guess another thing I want to mention was gymnastics off to a good start. They're 2-0 in the season. They've been
Technically,
doing
they're
pretty
four
good. I
now.
mean, yeah,
Technically,
because
they're
they
four now.
won right 4-0 because they won two meets against two teams each. They won their opening
Yeah,
meet at home against Temple and Brockport. They won their against Western Michigan Ball State. On the road at Ball State. I've been doing the recaps for that. I mean, Emily Lee's returned from injury. She's been doing good. I mean, the whole team's been doing really good. Gabrielle Dildy won the all around for the second straight week. Delaney Adrian won on bars. They won 3 out of 4 of the events, and yeah, right now they're in the early part of the season, but it's a good start. And I know they made the NCAA's last year. They got a new coach this season. And next up, they take on Ohio State on Saturday for their Big Ten opener. So I guess that'll be a good chance to see how good they really are. Obviously, this one was a bit of a closer one, but I mean, Rutgers, they had some really high scores. I mean, they had like 9, like a lot of scores over 9. Um, yeah, I mean, so gymnastics off to a good start as well at Jersey Mike's. So I mean, it's pretty exciting. I would say. I mean,
that was the only
you know.
team at Rutgers to make the NCAA tournament last year.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So that shows where they are at. Yeah. So gymnastics off to a good start on the season. Wrestling has a big week. Yeah. I mean, I guess the only other thing that we were going to talk about was Leonte Carew suing Rutgers over the NIL rights. I mean, that was obviously a big topic of conversation.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of take point on this one. So, my best understanding is that Leonte Carew is suing Rutgers over, I guess, NIL that he would have earned he,
Yeah.
um, had he been at the university during the time of NIL, and the House settlement grants athletes that played from I want to say it was 2016 to 2020 before the NI rules came into effect. They were granted back pay. Unfortunately, Carew, his playing career ended in 2015 because football, fall, everything like that. But their argument is like for he shouldn't be penalized for falling just outside those dates. It should be it. Rutgers did make a lot of money off of his name, and they're not wrong. He definitely was a revenue generator for
Yeah.
because he was one of the most popular players while he was here. But I think if this gets passed, it has the opportunity to open up a real can of worms in college football, like just cause an absolute mess for everybody. I don't think it's going to get passed. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, check out my article. It's definitely a little bit of a better breakdown, I would say, than what I just gave. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, this could absolutely open up a can of worms for
Yeah.
college football in general.
Yeah, because it's like how far back can we go, right? We're already going back
Right.
like 5 years in back pay. Um, you know, because I mean, yeah, I mean, name, image, likeness, obviously that used to be frowned upon like back in the day. You know what I mean? That wasn't legal, and obviously it was. So then now we're going back in time and saying, okay, yeah, I mean, if you should have, the Rutgers is, universities have made money off the athletes, they should be able to get the money, for representing the university, but yeah, unfortunately, like he missed the deadline, but yeah, I mean, his argument does make sense. But if that opens, it's like how far back are we gonna go? Is gonna be like the thing. Like I mean, like are we gonna go back 10 years, 20 years? Like what I mean? Like how far back can we, can we push this thing? And that could definitely be something that should be something that we should keep an eye out on whether that's successful, because if that happens, then
That's
like
more of a college
it's open
football in
season.
general story, though. that has to be
Yeah, and then more, yeah, even more than Rutgers, because I mean, if that happens, like again, it's like where do we draw the line? Like, how far back are we going to go? Could it impact a lot of different players, a lot of different schools, not just Rutgers, but definitely something to keep an eye on, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's not much. There's nothing else on our outline here today. Nothing else for really us to talk about. So, you have anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Um, I mean, I think we pretty much covered it. I mean, kind of a busy week in the transfer portal because we're kind of wrapping up. I think we did mention a lot of the other sports that needed to be mentioned. I mean, we talked about gymnastics, we talked about wrestling, both men's and women's basketball. So I mean, they'll both be in action this weekend. So kind of like a little bit of a layoff, but I mean, yeah, no, I think we pretty much covered everything that needed to be needed to be talked about.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. All your podcasting apps, give us a 5 star, give us feedback, give us, and I mean, like, if you have a genuine critique, let us know anything that could be helpful. Subscribe to our YouTube, like our videos, give us 5 stars on all the different podcasting apps. We really appreciate you sitting through another episode of The Bells Must Ring, and as always, well. I guess I just kind of worked myself into a corner there. We really appreciate you guys watching, sticking with us through another hour, 15 minutes. And as always, remember, the bells must ring.